the kingdom can turn around. We're lighting up the night, shaking up the ground. Excuses and flames, yeah, we're breaking free. We'll be fire, this is our legacy.
What up? What up?
Yeah. I think our technical team finally got us to go live. You know, when they switched all the Facebook group permissions, we could no longer go live in our own group, which makes zero sense to me. I don't understand that update. But our fearless team, Holly and Allison, props to the ladies who figured out a work around for it. And we are now live in Honey Badger Nation as well as.
That's nice. That didn't make any sense at all.
No, it just, I don't. Yeah, they do things that don't make sense often. But yeah, man, I am excited. It's the countdown. What is it, Tuesday? So we're like 10 days away from Christmas and 11 days, 9 or 10 or 11, whatever it is. We're a few days away from Christmas.
Yep.
Excited about that. I'm gonna be more excited about the day after Christmas.
Yep.
Flying into Lake Tahoe, and I got my hat on, dude. I'm so excited. I'm already wearing my It's hat.
I'm fired up, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
Cool, man.
And me and Reese have been hitting the gym every day for the last 2 weeks. I think I told you this yesterday. Maybe I didn't. I was like, dude, I'm one workout a day and 10 pages of reading of 75 hard right now. So like, I just need to, take it to the next level. But
I didn't know you were doing that.
No, I'm not. But I'm working out every day, which I hadn't been, right? And so I stopped drinking. Now I'm working out. I add a piece every so often. We're like, before long, I'm going to be living 75 hard if I keep at it. So I feel great. So yeah,
I feel great.
Sports, hell, dude. You know how Mike is in the gym. He tries to kill you. He's been good though. He's not the same old Mike. He ain't trying to kill you like he used to. So yeah. But if you've ever been in a workout with Mike, he likes to see people suffer.
He does.
Thankfully,
you know what? He's getting. The thing that he got Father Time working against him finally. Yeah. When you're 39, 38, 37, yeah, you can do that. So now Mikey's hitting them mid 40s, mid to late. What is he? Late 40s now? Shoot,
yeah. I'm 48. He's 47.
You guys still chasing me. Never going to catch me.
Never going to catch you. We'll try, though.
It's interesting you said that, though, too, is because, man, I just keep getting messages from people. Literally just got another one today. Just they were like about not drinking. And it was an interesting distinction. Courtney sent me a message, and it's this guy. I got to think of his name. Maybe Courtney will think of it and give it to him because I want to share it with the audience and you too. This dude is one of the best copywriters I've read, and I don't even know how long, dude. I mean, just smooth, brilliant copywriter, and it's all about like sobriety and whatever.
Yep.
And his, I don't know what you call it, an angle or the concept that he starts to write about, and the angle he takes the concept. It's just brilliant the way the guy writes. And why I'm saying that is one of the things that he was writing about was the thing that you don't think about, when you're thinking, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to kick drinking. I don't need the booze no more. It's not serving me, whatever your reason is, or maybe you're just raging out of control and you really, really need to quit, right? Like, I think it's better that you don't wait to get that far, but whatever, no judgment here. Quit's a quit. But he said the one thing I didn't see coming was I stopped getting invites from certain groups of people who I used to go out and hang with and rage with, even if it was just like, hey, let's go out and have a couple of drinks here and there. Or, hey, come on over. I'm having some people over to watch the football game in my basement. He stopped getting the same invites from the groups because they knew, Courtney, that he wasn't drinking anymore. And it was interesting because I didn't really think about that. But then looking back, I'm like, yeah, I'm experienced that a little bit. But I don't know if you have, you've kind of experienced that at all, or maybe you weren't going out a whole lot anyway. I mean, we weren't, but it was like more neighborhood people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine.
So it's in the first 60 days, the only place that I wanted to have a drink, I know what my triggers are. Like I'm aware of them.
Yeah.
Like when I do 15 calls in a day and my brain is mush, and I'm like, man, I need a drink. Like that's when I would go. That's when I go fill the cup.
Yeah.
And you just change that habit to something else. But the people that the only place I wanted to drink was at OU Texas, and I think it was more because I had the kids with me. It was crowded as hell and fucking drunks all around me. Like I wanted to just like it was, and then OU's getting beat, so it just wasn't a good.
Oh,
and at the state fair, like I was like, man, I could drink a cold beer right now. Jeez, I need to calm my nerves. But for which is I feel this is strange. This is crazy to me, and maybe it's not. But like I just quit cold turkey.
Yeah,
and. I mean, I don't know.
I did it too. That's all I did too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's normal, not normal, healthy, not healthy, but I feel better. I know that. I mean, it's just making the choice. You make the decision.
Yeah,
definitely. And the thing that for sure I'm mentally sharper. Like 30. I always use that number. 30%. I was giving up 30% of what I'm capable of every day. Multiply that times about the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's just, and I would have argued, and I probably still would argue, like, I'm not saying I'm never drinking again, but at the same time, I'm like, nah, probably not. Like, I don't, I mean, what do I want to be? Like half the person I could be? Like that just, it's crazy. Cause I would have argued, I wouldn't have argued a case for, like, nah, man, I can have a drink every once in a while, but you feel really great. You just, it's kind of like, I kind of like feeling great. It's pretty good.
My favorite part is the mornings. Mm-hmm. I got zero fog, none, unless I get into my replacement. One of my replacements that I got to be careful with is Willie's. So anybody out there doing the California sober, because that's more my style here. The Cali sober. Willie's. So Willie Nelson put out this. It's like a seltzer. Comes in a full bottle. There's two different kinds. One's got like 10 milligrams a shot. The other one's 5. And man, it tastes good. It's delicious. You can't have too much because the one lie they say on the site is they're like, no hangover. Willie's will give you a hangover if you do too much of it, and you'll wake up stoned too. So I'd be cautious of it. Be very cautious. It bit me the first day because I was actually celebrating my 100 days of no booze and no weed, and so I celebrated with a full glass, like a glass I'd pour a vodka soda size glass.
Yeah,
Willie straight, no mix. And I figured I didn't read the bottle. Mistake number 1.
Ouch.
And next thing you know, I was like, dang, I'm feeling good. And then, I woke up feeling the same way, if you know what I mean. So you got to be careful. But I'll tell you, my replacement in the summer was Blue Moon. That's my favorite NA beer.
Yeah, dude, it is. Absolutely.
Oh, you like?
I ran into it at the Dallas Cowboys game, and I went to with a bunch of my buddies from Puerto Rico came in for a Dallas Cowboys game. And I was like, do y'all got any? Because I learned it from you when we were at the baseball game. And you asked if that, and you ordered an NA beer or whatever, and I was like, "What's NA? No alcohol, all right." But I don't see it in the grocery stores and whatnot. But I had that Blue Moon. That's legit, man. That's good stuff.
It's good. It tastes good, And actually, I've always kind of liked Blue Moon, but when I was out in Tahoe, when I lived out there last February, and that was before I was still drinking actually the adult stuff. I started drinking Blue Moons when I was out there. I was like, man, these are really tasty. And so that's kind of what got me hooked. And then I saw the NA version, and what's cool on those, they have a different saying on each can, which is kind of cool. But yeah, man, feeling great. So anybody out there, I think what you said is actually very important. You got triggered at the end of the day, 15 calls, your brain's pounding, and you're just like, okay, I need to calm this down, right?
Yeah.
Having a replacement for whatever that first drink was is definitely important.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be Willie's. It could be not NA Blue Moon. I'll tell you, mentally, the NA Blue Moon, like I can't remember. And I've been drinking a long time. I got a career, 30-year career, at least maybe 40. 35. Yeah, I didn't drink when I was in high school, but the mental, I don't remember ever getting drunk off of beer anyway. So why drink the alcohol with the beer? You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna. It's not like you're gonna get blasted.
I would never drink beer because I couldn't drink enough of it. I'd be bloated,
You're
and
bloated.
I would still not be drunk.
Exactly. So yeah, dude. And I'll tell you that, it's about new habits. So that's what you kind of said. What you're saying is like start a new habit, replace the old habit with a new habit. And I'll tell you, dude, this is just a little hack. And I think this was in Tim Ferriss's book, dude. Every morning, get up early, 5 a.m., right? I hit protein. I hit about 30 to 40. Actually, no, I take 40 to 50 grams of protein right off the rip. And then I'm walking every day for at least 30 minutes on the track before I even work out.
Yeah.
And just trying to create the new habits. That was a Tim Ferriss one, and I love it.
Yeah. Dude, I've been doing the ISO 100 protein after working out because it's been so long since I've been in the gym. My muscles are sore, real sore. I got the Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even stretch them out.
Yeah,
I feel better now. I'm in week 2, but dude, that protein. I mean, I am gassy now, and they are so bad. That stuff is awful, man. I mean, it's funny for me. I sit in bed, like Amber will be asleep, and I'll be like, rip one, and then I'm just giggling like a fucking kid, dude. Like I'm like, that's the most awful thing I've ever smelled in my life. I wonder if my wife's gonna wake up. Like every night, it's the same thing, dude. It's so great. Yeah. I don't know that protein.
Your body's rejecting the proteins.
Yeah. No, it's awful.
Yeah, dude, I posted that dude's name, that copywriter. Everyone listening to this, you got to check this dude out. Cody, but it's spelled Koh. I put it in. I'll just post it up top here. Kohdi Rin. I don't know. His parents really loved difficult names to pronounce and spell and stuff, but this dude can write. Now, maybe it's ChatGPT, probably, maybe not. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of tell these days who the OG copywriters are.
Yep.
Versus ChatGPT. And I'll admit I use it on some of my posts, but not all of them. And I find that like when I don't, like, man, they came out they're just more authentic and better. But I'll use it just to start getting me the idea, and I usually just try to rewrite it in my own words. But this dude, solid. If you're looking for some inspiration, and you're like, man, I think it's time. It's time to put down the beers, the booze, the vodka. Someone asked me, like, if you were to go and have one, you could only have one drink. Okay. Like I could go have a drink right now if I want. I'm not like, I'm not on that plan. I might have a glass of wine or whatever, but what would it be? And I was tied between red wine and Angel's Envy, between the two of them, and I'll tell you this, they both can have evil outcomes in case because you can just keep going. That's the problem. Yeah. I crack a bottle of wine open, me and Cordy, we'd be like, how did 2 bottles of empty wine get in that into the recycle bin? Like, I thought we were all on one. No, it just goes down.
Yeah.
Like the river. Flows like the river, baby.
Yeah, baby. So like we got a really good topic today. So
we do.
Let's get into this. This is going to be, I hope that everyone sticks to this and listens in, because I think this is a super important topic right now with Compass. I think part of this whole sobriety journey is like, hey, who do we want to pick on? Let's pick on Compass. I've got a beef with them. I just don't really care for that company. But I think it's important to know, like, I care about the agent. I care about you building your business. It's your brand, and we'll talk about all this. But where you hang your license is important, and they are about to become the largest real estate company on the planet. And if you think that they're looking out for your best interest and not theirs, you're wrong. And you should be very concerned about that acquisition if you're not at Compass and you're about to be at Compass, and know what you're getting into. Because I find that once you get into that sticky web, it's hard to get out.
Yeah. Well, Jay, think about it from the analogy that, I don't know if it was you or Mike, that we used to talk about. A fish only knows you know, what's underneath the water here. It doesn't even have a concept of what's above the water level. They just live under the sea, and that's all they know. Just like us, we only know what's above the water. And so I think that when you think about Robert, right, Refkin, you know, he was an investment guy, right? He was a Wall Street guy. Brilliant guy, but was never really in real estate. He took his knowledge and said, you know, I'm going to go in this direction. Now, instinctually, though, you know, when you have someone who's an entrepreneur like that, like Robert, right? Instinctually, they build to what?
Profit. Sell, yeah.
Yeah, and sell. And so, you know, and that's where, you know, I think that Keller, when Gary sold, you know, he lost all control. So Gary did, you know, I think you could argue it one way or another. Gary, arguably, you know, he was a pioneer of his time who focused on the agent first. He made agent. They kind of came up with the whole
agent centric.
Yep. Because what did they do? They didn't want to focus on Keller Williams. They wanted to focus on the agent. And so then you still have your legacy brands. It was all about the brokerage. And we know still existing today, you have brokerage centric. They're the ones that want you to focus on their brand first. You're second. And then you have agent centric. You have your EXPs, your Keller Williams. There's a big difference. And
that's pretty much it. I think that's the list.
Was that the list?
Yeah.
Over here, you got Compass, Howard Hanna. I would put in that broker centric.
Reichert.
And what's interesting is the value proposition that the broker centric, these legacy models, and even though Compass is not a legacy model, they just bought a legacy brand. Like, well, they bought like 8 legacy brands.
Right.
And so, you know, you don't see people posting online anymore. Hey, I just bought a Century 21 franchise. Hey, you know, I haven't seen a post like that, maybe ever. And so, you know, I just, I think there's a big distinction. The fascinating part, though, that I'd like to talk to you about is how does a company, it's like, this is a bad analogy, but it's like, you know, we saw this movement toward EVs. Everyone wanted an EV, you know, and then Ford was like, we're gonna be all EV by 2030. Guess what they did? They flipped around and they're like, whoa, we're losing $40,000 a truck trying to do this per truck. That's what their losses were. They took it on the chin. They're like, let's back it up a bit and go back to what we knew, which is combustible engines, right?
Right.
So like, my curiosity is like, obviously there's room for both, but when you're an agent and you know that you're building your brand, yet you have a brand over here that wants to kind of trump that. They want to be, they want to be the highlight. They want to be the brand, and you're just an agent for the brand. Then you have the stark opposite. Boom. Agent first, brokerage second. How do they sell that?
Yeah. Well, they sell that they're, I think that there's two, you know, types of agents. There's agents that get in the business, and you know, this is what I say all the time. I had a Zoom I was doing yesterday with probably, I don't know, there might have been 15 or 20 people on. But when I said this, every single person was like, "Yep, that's exactly what it feels like." When you get your real estate license, they should just give you a plaque that says "figure it out," right? And everybody feels that way. So like anybody that's listening right now, you're like, yeah, that's kind of what it feels like, unless you maybe join a team or whatever. But when you really think about it, the agent, the brokerages like your Coldwell Banker, Century 21s, Anywhere brands, they are trying to monetize the agent. The brokerage is trying to turn a profit by adding agents and figuring out ways they can make money off of you. Now, they're going to try to help you, but they really don't, right? So like, did we ever get any help? Like, there was no playbook. There was like, here's what. And it's not so much even the broker owner that's telling you to do this. That was my dad. But it's like, you should do open houses every Sunday. You should sit on floor time. You should do this. You should do that. And they try to keep you on this split where they're making some money off of you while you try to figure out building your own business and your own brand. That's basically, they're just trying to figure out how much money can I get from them while they're trying to figure this out. Right.
Right.
And we're not really going to help them other than tell them to do a lot of things. And if you have enough people in your sphere of influence, and you're not going to have any repeat if you get referrals, it'd be from your sphere. Maybe you string together a couple sales. Maybe you get lucky, meet somebody at an open house, make some sales. And if you're dogged and determined enough, you might survive. All the while, I thought I never even did the math. Like I wasn't looking at the brokerage as, I'm paying them too much money. I was just like trying to figure out how to make a sale. And I'd be happy to get any amount of money at that time. And so you're not really thinking about, is this right or wrong? But you're not even thinking about your brand at that point. You're not thinking about building your own brand. You're just like, I'm trying to make a living. Yeah. So I think that this whole we're going to help you sounds really good. And then it's just like, Juan Carlos, my Uber driver, the story I tell with him, where he's like, I interviewed 9 brokerages and this is the one I'm going with, and here's why. And And I said, when I asked him, I said, I want you to go back and ask from day 1 to day 90, what are they doing to get you to 2 sales a month? Because that's what he needed to stop driving Uber. And she got mad. I mean, they were taking photos for his business card. He didn't know. He's like, man, he was excited. He's like, man, she got a photographer coming Monday. Like, yeah, that's where it ends right there. Like, that's what they're going to do. You're still going to have to figure out what to do. How are you going to get customers is going to be your biggest challenge from that day forward. And there's not a plan. There's nobody that sits down with you and says, here's what you should do. And here's how you get leads. And here's the systems you should use. There's nothing, literally nothing. And this has been going on for 100 years this way. And if you get lucky, they monetize you. They're going to, if they provide you leads, like my dad had at the time it was Cardis, it was Cendant before that. He had that account. We're a military community, 35% referral. If you take that deal, you're on a 50-50 split. Because my dad bought that brokerage and he had that deal with Cendant, he controlled the split you were on if you took those deals. That's not you growing your business. That's you getting fed by the broker, and they're monetizing you to do the same amount of work that if you could create your own deal, you wouldn't have to pay all those fees. And so it's really interesting that, and I think they feel like they're trying to help them. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't know why you would stay at one of those companies. Especially if once you've learned that 90% of your business is going to come from the business you generate yourself, and you're giving up percentages to the brokerage for what? You're the brand. You're the one that found the business. You're the one that's generating the opportunities. And if not, then you're getting compensated considerably less. And so, yeah, it's an interesting industry. But what do you think Compass is up to? And what's their long-term game plan? What are they trying to do? And that's what concerns me the most, is people don't actually have the awareness of what they're getting into. And what's and it's a publicly traded company, guys. You can go read the 10K, go listen to the calls. Their intent is not to help the agent. Their intent is to take from the agent and be the brand. Yeah. And that's
that's clear right on the financial statement. So you look at it, the notes in there describe commissions paid to company agents as the biggest. It's literally the biggest bucket of expense. They call it, when CFO says expense control, what do you think the biggest expense that Compass has that they're paying out? And that expense is to the agent. And what they said is, we're going to be lower. We got to lower our expenses. So if they're going to lower the expenses, how do you do that? Well, it comes down to a split. You're going to start seeing adjustments, or it might be the way they'll do it is probably not going to be a percentage, because that's just too obvious. Yep. It'll be this fee. It'll be this. We got a new tech fee, new transaction fee, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you can't just create money out of nowhere. They've borrowed up to the neck at this point, so they got to get profitable. How do you do that? Well, you got to create ancillary income. And for that, there has to be financial. We've experienced this too, with EXP. There has to be financial alignment for you to get your ancillary services used. Yep. Said differently, agents have relationships with mortgage brokers, multiple. Like every top agent I know, this is a rough guess, but I bet you it's accurate. 8 to 10 mortgage people that they're actually friends with. They don't give all 8 to 10 of them their business, but they're actually like, they see them at events. They see them here around town. Their kids play on the same football or basketball game together. Like, they know them, right? So there's a relationship. Even with all those relationships, they can only give their business to like 1 or 2 usually, is what I see. Yep. I mean, I see some people trying to like spread it out to 3. typically, I don't see that.
Yep.
So the financial alignment, if it's not there, what Compass is wanting, and let me just read what this says here. They're building their brokerage and integrated services machine, and they need the agents to feed it. Well, yeah. I mean, if you have a brokerage with integrated services, you want them to be using the integrated services, but there has to be alignment. And that's been the miss for many brokerages. I mean, how do you align the best interests of the client, that's the buyer or the seller, with the agent, and everybody's winning with the brokerage and this integrated service that you want, whether it's mortgage
they're going to do what Zillow's doing. They're going to try to tell you, you have to use our mortgage company. You have to use our title. They're going to do everything they can. And Zillow's going to get away with it. Zillow's going to disclose, and they're going to get away with this whole thing that they're doing. And every agent is going to have to start using it, or they're not going to get those leads from Zillow. That's a whole nother discussion. If you're on that tit, we need to get you off of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is your client's experience. Client. You control this is an interesting industry, and this is a point I think a lot of people don't think about. The brand, the reason that none of these brands matter, that tell me what is the, if we went through McDonald's and all these different brands and we said what does it mean to be a brand? The experience is controlled by the brand. In real estate, who controls the experience? The agent. The brand doesn't. The company doesn't get involved with your client, what their experience throughout the whole thing. If you got a better lender to use than what the company's lender is, then you got to do what's best for you and your client. You got to use your best recommendation. And so if you don't, if you're going to they're going to try to force you to do that, then now you're not in control of the client experience, number one, which means when they come back, if they do come back to Compass, that don't mean they necessarily come back to you. You're giving up the lifetime value of a customer, which is the most important thing. Is you control the experience, not the brand. And in real estate, RE/MAX doesn't control the brand, EXP doesn't control the brand, the agent controls the brand. And so I'm not the brand, the customer experience, right? And so since that's the case, they're trying to get in that business for what reason? So that they get the lifetime value of that customer, not you. And that's not the place that you want to be long term.
One of my favorite agents just commented on here is Christina Sires.
What's up, Christina?
Christina, they took on, so she said Compass, I'm assuming she's talking about, they took on the brokerage gains, but also all of their debts. So that has to be paid somehow. Yeah. Those Anywhere brands, and I don't know why I just connected these dots just now, but we both started in an Anywhere brand. You Coldwell Banker, me Century 21. I don't know why I just kind of put those together. It's where we started. And it's really interesting. Yes, they did take on all the debts, and there was a lot of it. And Compass is already sitting on their own pile of debt because that's what it was. It was all debt that the company was built on. So there's a lot of digging to do. To dig in, to get into a positive. That's what I love with the way that Glenn built this, dude. He went and bought an RV, started driving around state to state, old school, man, grassroots effort. Meeting agents, meeting brokers, telling them about the vision, and he didn't start with a bunch of venture capital and debt, which is why we don't have any today. And it's the other reason why we're going to win. And I'll tell you this, and I want to take this in a slightly different direction because we're talking about the consumer experience. I love talking about the consumer experience because you're right. It's not, if you lined up and it was a blind test, okay? And let's just compare us to the cheeseburger industry. It's a blind test, completely blind, right? And you have a Compass agent, Howard Hanna agent, EXP agent, RE/MAX agent, Keller Williams agent. They're all in a lineup. And it's not about the person that you're looking at, but it's about the experience. And you're reading all the different reviews that are online. And you see all these reviews from this brokerage, but they're hiding the brokerage name. You wouldn't be able to pick them out. It'd be a guess because you could have a great agent over here at this brand, and this big brand that you thought was all great, the people could have the worst experience ever because the brand doesn't. Now, flip that. The difference is if you line me up in a blind taste test and you had McDonald's versus a Five Guys cheeseburger, right? Or many others, I'd be able to tell the difference in a blind taste test because that company controls the experience. Even Chick-fil-A, how you go through the line, that experience, what they say, what they don't say, how you're treated, how you're handed your food. All this is a system. And in the real estate industry, it just doesn't exist. It's all on the agent's shoulders. So what is going to be, dude? This is the future. And we talked about this about 4 months ago. And I know you're going to love it. So I'm going to open up the can of worms. You ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
AI. He or she who has the strongest AI built in is going to be the stickiest. They're going to have the less attrition, and they're going to end up having the closest thing to some kind of a consistent consumer experiences that we're going to see ever in the industry.
Yep.
Ever. And I think it's going to be exciting to see 5 years from now having this conversation, if we can start to see, because of AI, the distinctions between the brands. Yep. I don't know.
Right now, as of right now, let me just punctuate your point
right now. But
dude, let me punctuate your point. Okay, to the consumer, not to the agent. What does REMAX stand for? What does Coldwell Banker stand for? What's Century 21 stand for? What's EXP stand for? What does any of the brands in real estate stand for? You can't tell me what they stand for. They're all they're pick one. And if you can tell me what they stand for, to what they mean to the consumer, when they say Century 21 and the consumer goes, that's what there's nothing. They're all the same. Pick one. They're a commodity. And so that's what we mean by managing the consumer experience. If you do a great job, people come back to you. That's why we say, it's like Jay-Z says, you're not a businessman. You are the businessman. Like, you're the brand. You're the brand. And what Compass is trying to do, I believe, is they're trying to take on, and they're going to integrate it. They talk about it. AI plus efficiency theme is all throughout all their documents. And if they make things more efficient, are they going to make it more efficient for them and their brand? Or are they going to make you more efficient in leveraging technology and AI to grow your brand? And 5 years from now, if we're on a path at EXP and we're helping agents build their brand, and you leverage AI to create a better consumer experience for you and your brand, what does that look like 5 years from now? And then what does it look like 5 years at a Compass or a company that's not agent centric? It's two completely different paths. One, you're helping build someone else's brand and you're diminishing your brand. And the other is you become the go-to agent in a marketplace because of the experience you create. And either companies are going to, when you look at EXP, we're enabling agents to leverage AI to grow their business and their brand versus trying to control and be the brand. That's a huge distinction. And I think if you look 5 years down the road from now, what happens in the commercial space is the same thing in commercial. It's a different animal. But when you look at, if they decide that they want to, this is actually in the 10K from a few years back in Compass. When they did their earnings call, they announced that their strategy to become profitable was to take more from the agents. They actually talk about it. I'm like, do the agents not see this stuff? Like, they're literally going to increase the amount they take from agents. They're going to reduce that cost. That was their part of their business model for how they were going to turn a profit. It didn't actually, I don't think, work in terms of being more profitable, but they did try to take more from agents. That's the only way they can become profitable and answer to these investors. And so, it's a scary thought. If you're the agent, if the only way that they can become more profitable is by taking from you, what do you think happens when the phone rings because it's Compass? And they called Compass instead of calling you because they thought of you. If they were successful, which I think is a stretch. But if they were successful at getting the phone to ring and someone calling Compass, do you think they're going to continue to pay you 80%, 90%? Or do you think they're going to pay you less? Not if that phone rings to Compass. That deal is going to be just like it is anywhere else. It's going to be a 50-50 split, or they're going to take more from you. And I think that's the dangerous thing about being behind a model like that. I wouldn't want to be a part of it. No way, no how.
Yeah.
What's up, Josh Strong, big dog?
Who we got in there? Hey, Josh, what's up, man? Oh, here we go. Put him up there. He's playing a Wall Street game. Grow at any cost, whether it's multiple revenue or promises. Truth, my friend. Truth.
Anywhere hadn't made money in I don't know how long. Like, that company, have they ever made money? I don't even know if they ever have.
Well, what this got me thinking right now, and I'd love your opinion on this, is that every brokerage, I don't care if it's Compass, EXP, Keller Williams, the whole reason that they put a suite of services together is for retention, because it's for both. It's for attraction and attention. Using it, hey, he who has the most tools to help an agent win should be increasing the number of agents that they bring into the brokerage. And if they're actually good, they'll keep them if they're going to use them. And we know this, if there's one thing true, I don't care what brand it is, you're not going to get a lot of an adaptation to most of the technology and most of the things that brokerages offer agents. What do? They go out and get it on their own. AI is no different, dude, because when you think about how a transaction, it has to be turned into the broker. They have to take it through their process of checks and balances, of which AI is already starting to take that over with EXP. Every brokerage that's worth their weight, they're going to, all of that processing is going to be AI driven, which is also going to be meaning cost savings, right? But once you start to do that, there's no stopping, because after you get a little taste of that, you're like, man, my P&L is looking bigger or better and better. The next step is, what else can we do with this AI? It's checking all of our files better than any human can check them. Our compliance is on point, right? Like it's really keeping them squeaky clean, because there's no human error. The AI never calls off sick. It never needs a vacation. It'll work 24/7. The efficiencies are just, I mean, I don't want to use the word infinite, but almost infinite. I mean, but my question is, then where does it go? So it goes from the transaction processing part of it to the lifetime. It's not going to be that difficult to collect all the data from every single client. And now we're talking about the lifetime value of a client. Now the agent should be taking care of that lifetime value of that client on their own and getting another 6, 7, 8, 9 deals over the next 10 years out of that one client if they're doing a great job with their follow-up and doing past client. I shouldn't say past client. Jared James would be mad. Client appreciation parties, okay? Mm-hmm. All the things that you should be doing to get referrals, hitting your database. But now in AI and the brokerage is going to have the best brokerages are going to have the best AI tools available. And if you're not going to do it, guess what? The brokerage is going to be doing it. And this whole argument that we've been making for years, which has been true, by the way, is that a great seller, you did a great job for a seller, they're not calling you back. They're not calling the agent. They're not calling Century 21 back. They're not calling Caldwell Banker back or Remax or even EXP. They're calling Jay Kinder, because Jay Kinder listed and sold my house. If you're bad at follow-up and you don't have your systems in place, they will be calling that brokerage back. And I see that's the direction where AI over the next 5 years you watch, because why wouldn't they? Because you think about the return, like how many agents are actually following up with their clients that they've sold or bought or helped buy or sell a house. It's minimal at best.
Right.
Even when they do a really good job, the surveys that when they surveyed sellers and buyers out there, like, yeah, my agent barely stayed in touch with me and I liked him and everything, but I didn't even know how to really get a hold of them or anything like that. I thought they may have fallen off and gotten out of the business, so they called somebody else.
Right.
That's now.
But if you make that client a raving fan, that first transaction represents 4% of the lifetime value of that business. One referral a year, buying business every 3 years over the next 20 years, or every 7 years over the next 20 years. The amount of value from that person being a raving fan, we track all that. The key to all of this, by the way, is if you want to be relevant 5 years from now, you have to put a moat around your business, your personal brand, plus your audience and your database. If you give that data to the brokerage, you are giving up the lifetime value of what you're building. You're taking money on the front end and you're not getting anything in the long term. That's what you have to be focused on. If you want to be around in the next 10 years for sure.
Well, they're going to have, we kind of have to give up the data to the broker,
Well, I mean, but you should own your database. You should own your communication to the client. They can have the transaction details of all that, but you don't want to put everything in the database that you don't own that you can't take with you. Like now you're stuck.
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting discussion. You mentioned the database. I was literally just having a conversation with one of my sons who really, you know, my sons are just breaking into the industry right now. So they don't understand, like the story I told them was about Commissions Inc., you know, and how that started. In fact, I was just talking to Allison, my sister, about it this morning on our huddle. And we're kind of talking about attractsellers.com, our seller tool, and how many iterations they're doing and iterations and perfecting it. And she's like, wow, you know, Joe's doing a really good job, but, you know, they're always changing things. I'm like, that's called iteration. And that's exactly what Dwayne Legate did. What did he do? He listened to he did what every broker does not do, is Dwayne listened to the users. And when they said, hey, we would be great as if you built this. And in less than 3, 4, 5 days, it was built. Then he's like, well, he'd come to the calls and be like, what else you want me to build?
Right.
Like literally built it and listened to the users. And what did end up happening? Probably something that will never happen again. $250 million it sold for. And do you even hear about Commissions Inc. anymore? Like
they sold it to Fidelity, and Fidelity killed it.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
That was a great leader. You know,
Dwayne
Legate was a great leader.
Right. But here's my point.
He listened to the agent. He wasn't trying to just monetize the agent.
Right. But my point is this. I don't care. Keller, you know, they claimed that they were not in the real estate business. They're a tech company. That was probably 8 years ago, right around that same time.
How'd that work out?
They wanted everyone to use the CRM and this and that. The truth is, agents are independent contractors, and they get into this business not to be an employee. They get into this business to be an entrepreneur, a creator, and try and tell somebody that they got to use this or they should use this because this is what the broker is. It ain't going to work. It'll work for some, but it's not sticking. So you have everybody going out and getting a Commissions Inc. Before Commissions Inc., it was, you had Tiger Leads, you had Boomtown. Boomtown sold. I don't hear so much about Boomtown anymore. Dude, it was literally like the main topic of every real estate conversation was all about the CRM. Well, why has that changed? We're not hearing that anymore. We're on to talking about different topics, okay? And obviously it's being flooded with a lot of litigation and all the other, bullshit that we're seeing that's a distraction from really growing our real estate business. But the CRM has really gotten commoditized. We figured it out. I don't care if it was Commissions Inc. or if it was Tiger Leads or if it was Boomtown or Top Producer. Top Producer. I bought it 3 times. I might have I literally bought it and canceled it 3 times. I knew that it could help me grow my business, but it was giving me a brain rot trying to figure out how to use it. So my point is like that value proposition is no longer a strong value proposition.
No,
you got a great CRM. It's a universal CRM. It's universal to who? Because Jay grows his business different than Al, than Julie, than Renee. We have different needs in the way we want to grow our business. You can't expect all these round and different opaque shaped pegs to fit into a perfectly square hole. It doesn't work in the real estate business.
Dude, interesting point. When you think back, when we bought Tiger Leads, Boomtown, Sync, all those platforms, you know why we bought them? Because they did the lead gen for us. The CRM, they got better, progressively better, automations, now behavioral alerts, but they're all now plus or minus 10% of each other. Right. Now, if you don't know what text should go out when, that's going to elicit a response based on a certain behavior, you got to figure that piece out yourself, unfortunately, unless you partner with us, which we do it for you. Yeah. We know because we send out millions and millions of text messages and emails, what to say and what not to say that's going to get a response so you can actually talk to someone, because the whole game of real estate is you can increase the number of people that you have a conversation with, of people that want to buy and sell and are open doing business with you. That's everything we do. You do an open house, that's what you're trying to do. You generate leads, that's what you're trying to do. So everything should lead to, am I increasing my conversations per day with people that want to buy and sell? But we bought that because they did the lead gen. They did the Google pay-per-click back then for us. That now in lieu of, and so most agents, again, I think this is unique to what we had to learn because we got into a business that wasn't real estate. I paid all of them the same thing. I didn't do my own lead gen. I didn't run my own Facebook ads back then, right? Back then you probably didn't have Facebook.
It was all Google.
But I never learned. I didn't have to learn this skill because there were so many services that could provide me leads. Well, everyone that's in real estate that doesn't know how to generate their own leads are no longer in control. So the CRMs, you can generate leads, but that stuff's not converting because they're not creative in their marketing. Just a random search for homes is not a real lead. We all know that, but that stuff doesn't work. You can't scale the buy side of your business with that as the main thing which is what we did. We scaled the buy side of the business because back then it worked a lot better anyways. And that type of lead is getting more and more expensive. So the cost to acquire a customer has gone up, but unless you've learned the skill of marketing and how to generate a lead at $3 to $5 cost per lead, you're paying Zillow 41%, referral fees. You're paying this company, anybody that's contacting you, trying to sell you something. They're trying to monetize you because you don't have the skill of how to do it on your own. That's what it is. Then the whole industry is built upon that. Like, we'll show you how to do leads. I had somebody call me yesterday. This bullshit company I used to be in business with pisses me off. They still use my name as if I'm part of it and try to pretend like I'm part of it. I haven't done business with them in 10 years. And somebody messaged me and said, "Hey, are you a part of this company?" I said, "Nope." And they said, "I didn't think so, but they were throwing your name around." I said, "Yeah, they tend to do that. I think it's part of their sales process is just to basically lie." And they want $3,900 up front, and they want and then a referral fee on every deal after that. But they give you that money that you put up front back on that first closing. It's a terrible deal. All they're doing is the same things that we know how to do in marketing, and they're taking 35% because you haven't learned how to do what they know how to do, and that is until you make the switch to how to turn a stranger into a customer, and you keep paying all these portals and all these you are at risk of going out of business, and that you're never going to have predictable and consistent business with just repeat and referral. If you met someone in the grocery store last week because you're a great networker, go back to that same grocery store this week and see if you can do it again. I'll bet you $100 you can't. It doesn't duplicate. It doesn't scale. It's not predictable. It's not consistent. You have to learn how to turn strangers into a customer, and that means you need to have the skill of marketing. And that's what we fortunately learned by starting a company that sold stuff to real estate agents. Is like there ain't no Zillows and Syncs and Boomtowns for how to get in front of agents. We had to learn how to do marketing, and that applied to real estate works even better because no one's doing it.
Speaking of that, I am late for a recruiting call, and I'm sure Randy is impatiently waiting for me to get into my Zoom. So I'm gonna. This was a great topic, brother.
Yeah, man.
Excited for the new year. Excited for everything going on. And as always, brother, appreciate you.
See you at the top. From the top.
See you at the top.
All right. Later, bro.
Bye-bye.